So with the snare removal operations, with snare-busters, we've got operations happening in non-dangerous game areas, but quite often these operations happen in quite dangerous areas, and there's different levels of hazards that people face doing this. So obviously one being dangerous animals, you've got environmental hazards. We operate in areas where it can get extremely hot, and this is quite hazardous. Water run out, people can get heat exhaustion, so it is vitally important that it's well planned, well executed and structured. So if people want to join in on this, it is vitally important that they do it through the correct channels and the correct way, because you can get yourself into a lot of trouble if you just think you can walk into a property and just go and remove snares. Technically, snares, it's a crime scene, and by removing the snare, you're tampering with a crime scene. So it has to be structured. Law enforcement needs to be notified. Your local authorities needs to be notified. You need to have landowner permission. For most people, it might look like, we plan something, we get together and we all go out and we remove snares. But there's a lot of planning behind the scenes that goes into a snare removal operation, and to actually keep people safe while doing it. Also for the data gathering. If the data is not collected correctly, it's useless. Okay, so what we found now is behind us, we discovered a poaching camp where they've got wires set up to dry the meat. We've got a fireplace and everything, bottles and a whole lot of debris and stuff still in the area. But what's a bit disturbing is what we just found here and surrounding the camp. So we've currently got 4 vulture carcasses of birds that were poisoned. So they've got different reasons why they poisoned the vultures. So the one is they use it for muti. Muti is traditional medicine utilized by the native groups throughout Africa. So they would get a carcass, mostly something that was caught in a snare, and they would lace it with poison, and the birds would come and feed on that. And then parts of these birds are harvested for the muti trade. But it's also, with the poaching camp being here, possibility is that there's an active snare line close by. So this was not here in November. So this is more recent activity. In November we had 3 poisoned vultures as well, but that was not in the same location. So unfortunately we've had another poisoning event since then. So it's possible that these animals are attracted to the active snare lines. So that's the possibility, and then they pick it up there and poison at that location. The poachers know, they realize that vultures are used as an early detection system, so that's why it's elimination of that. So after every operation we collect the data, we plot the locations of everything that we find, and all of this data is then pulled into a larger database, and that goes into basically GIS mapping, and where this data can be used for future reference and by other organizations as well. Just to give an idea, I'm going to zoom in on Phalaborwa, on the town. These are all snares. You can see, for instance, this is within a residential area. These are houses, so these are little green belts in between. These were all snares that we've removed from there, between people's homes, right on the edge of town, all the way around. This was quite a bad area, and what this helps to do, like here for instance, you can see that there's a pattern forming. These poachers are using specific routes. So if I were to do that and remove that overlay, you would be able to see that there's a road, there's a route running through there. So these guys were following that route. So now that we've got the data, so we obviously covered this entire area, but we picked up that they are using these routes. So now for future reference, that makes it easier. So we can literally just, instead of going through this entire area and wasting time, we can just focus on routes like this one going through this property. And here you can see they focused on the drainage line and around dams. This data from the maps that we compile is then, it's all drawn into software like this, and we compile maps, and then that goes into a snare sweep report. We send this out to the authorities and the landowners. This basically covers everything that we found. Like for instance, this is one block on a property where quite a large amount of snares were found. We had quite a few carcasses, a couple of endangered species that were killed in snares as well. And this goes to the landowners, as I mentioned, and the authorities, and that helps them for planning future operations, to look at where possible incursions, where these guys are coming in, because this is close to fences. So we help to notify them and to work out, okay, this is the routes that they're coming in, most likely entry points, where these guys are moving around. So it helps them quite a bit in management strategies, and especially anti-poaching strategies for future reference. So that is why it is structured, and the project is going to be rolled out to other branches on a national level to get people to buy into it and to conduct this in a proper manner and enjoy it while staying safe, saving animals, collecting data, and this data being available to the authorities and to other organizations. So it has to be done on a structured level, in a structured way.